say this how you man so long. But I thank me for the run my family. No, no bad mind boy, they can stop play. And every show I smiling cause trust me, life is so lovely, boy. And I'm far from finished, boy. And I can't believe it, no. See, I'm far from finished, boy. Love the life that I live in, yeah. I say na 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 na, I say na 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 na, say na 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 na, I say na 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 na, I say na na na, I say na 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 na, I say na na na, I say na na. Forever thankful for doubters and the past and the people who laugh, oh nah. Forever grateful for all the times I've failed. And Papa say, oh son, you can't give up. What's for you is for you. I said, Papa, you know I will never stop, no. No judge, I blessed me with the opportunity to buy country to country. Now I could drink champagne when I'm thirsty. Now I could see all the thing I never see. They say this how I get man so lucky. But I thank me for the run my family. No, no bad mind boy, they can stop it. And every show I smiling cause trust me, love is so lovely, boy. And I'm far from finished, boy. And I can't believe it, no. See, I'm far from finished, boy. Love the life that I live in. I say na 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 na, I say na 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 na, say na na na, I say na na na, I say na na na.
Greetings and salutations, one and all.
Now every little thing that I have, man, I'm thankful for. Oh, and I don't chase material thing cause I come from far.
I want to say big ups to everybody locked in right now, those from near, those from far. Those locked in on TuneIn Radio on the night shift to DJ Kevin Steele.
Material.
Blessings to you. The massive healing from across the pond. Top of the morning to you guys over there in the UK. That's a big ups to King Genius, Queen Genius. Much love, much respect.
I'll never run it easy for the brands and the bling and the expensive.
Blessings to the family over there in New Jersey.
Never a nice living. And mama
Brother from another mother on NIE Radio, the motivator.
I said, Mama, you know I look out for sure. No judge, I bless me with the opportunity to fly.
Also to New Jersey.
Now I can drink champagne when I thirsty.
The massive on Mix102.com.
They say this how you
Their sister station in Jamaica, Earth 96 FM.
family. No, no bad mind boy, they can stop play. And every show I smiling cause trust me, life is so lovely, boy. And I'm
Big up Symbol. Blessings to you and the family.
See, I'm far from finished, boy.
It's a massive locked in on the foundation, radio network, ClintonLindsay.com. Much love to you. Veteran in the business, Mr. Lindsay. Blessings, sir. It's Community and Finance Night.
Forever thankful for doubters in the past and the people who laugh, oh nah.
And I welcome you all.
All the time.
Those on Zeno FM,
And Papa say, oh,
bubbling in a stew pot. Big ups to you.
it's for you. I said, Papa, you know I will never stop.
Massive on YouTube Live.
I just blessed me with the opportunity to buy country to country.
So Shana, what go on with you?
Man, I'm thirsty. Now I can see all the thing I never see. They say this how I get man so lucky.
And of course, those who are locked in at the home of the night shift to DJ Kevin Steele, kevinsteele.com.
And every show I smiling cause trust me.
So glad to have you. Couldn't do it without you.
And I'm far.
You have my word, I wouldn't even try.
And I can't believe it. See, I'm far from finished.
Music from Voice in the background.
Like that I live.
Track called Far From Finished.
I say na 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 na, I say na 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 na, say na na na, I say na na na, I say na na na,
I want to say thank you to my segment sponsors. The One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation. Blessings, blessings, blessings to your family. Democracy is central to Jamaican identity and institutions. But the number of Jamaicans saying they don't trust the government has increased, the breaking point of government instability. And OJLDF, the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation, they're dedicated to defeating the threat to democracy and hold public officials accountable. They're committed to protecting justice and equality for everyone, especially individuals who have been wrongfully accused, marginalized, or deprived of fair legal representation. OJLDF believes every person deserves the opportunity to defend their rights regardless of their financial circumstances. Thank you, OJLDF, One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation. To find out how you can get involved and what they are doing, visit the website ojldf.org. Subscribe to their YouTube channel. Donate on the website to your whatever drives you, whatever cause you're driven to, whatever cause is calling you. If you want to donate just to the foundation to support the work that they're doing, go ahead and do so. You can specify where you want your donations to go. It could be to providing tablets for students in Jamaica. It could be for disaster relief. It could be for legal fees. Just visit ojldf.org and see how you can participate, how you can get involved. And I'm far from finished. I want to say thank you to Althea and her Healing Heavenly Hands. Althea is a licensed massage therapist operating out of North Miami-Dade, South Palm Beach counties, and of course all over Broad County. If you're visiting any of those areas, know somebody in any of those areas that you want to gift a massage to, go ahead and give her a call, 954-655-9000. She comes to you, bringing her table, her oils, and over 20 years massage therapy experience. And she only has one request outside of paying her, is that you get off her table and go sleep somewhere else when she's done. It's called the Kevin Stew clause. And when you get on the table and get those healing heavenly hands, you'll understand why. Thank you to the global digital, global base family. Global Digital navigates your journey across music, event marketing, and much, much more. It's a realm where social spheres awaken through their mastery. So go ahead and embrace the invitation to liberate your creativity, unbounded and free, just like their consultation. Free. All you have to do is link them. The Global Base is your catalyst for everything related to music production, radio, and event promotion. Connect with them, daglobalbase.com. That's theglobalbase.com. I want to say thank you to McNeil Trucking. McNeil Trucking is a licensed and insured veteran-owned mover in the state of Florida. So if you want to move from the Keys to Jacksonville, from Naples to Palm Beach, Pompano to Pensacola, and all points in between, you want to put some things in storage, move something around the corner, you don't have the manpower, you don't have the transportation, don't worry, you have the name and you have the number. McNeil Trucking, 954-406-9740. That's 954-406-9740. You can even take it a step further if you want to move outside of the state of Florida or move into the state of Florida. They're there for the long haul. Call them up. Tell them Kevin Stew sent you. McNeil Trucking, thank you very much. Understand. There's one thing that most of us are, even if we don't know it, is that we're far from finished.
And we don't chase material thing. I'm far from finished.
Now, if you were listening to the words of this song, you'd have picked up on, you'd have got some gems. You know, here's a story of someone that never had it easy, and it would seem like they're probably down and out, but they recognize that they're far from finished, because unless you're called and counted out, you're called out, you're counted out, you have checked out. Unless all that happens, you're not out. You're very much in. And so being in means you have opportunities. It means you have hope. Even if you don't recognize it, it is there. Hope lives. Hope springs eternal. And this is what happens with individuals who have gone through disasters. Unfortunately, there are some in the face of a disaster that sees it as an opportunity to benefit themselves, to capitalize on the misfortunes of others. And tonight in Community and Finance, we're going to talk a little bit about how we get to that point. How does that happen? And how is it that some of the individuals that we least expect to do things like that are the ones that do? First of all, we need to understand a few things about natural disasters. Excuse me. We need to understand a few things about natural disasters. And 6 years ago, I did a broadcast, and you can check the archives on the psychological effects of natural disasters. 6 months ago, so the psychological effects of natural disasters I did 6 years ago. 6 months ago, I did a broadcast titled Psychological First Aid. And this was in light of natural disasters. Now I want us to look at the whole idea of natural disasters from another point, another angle. And you might wonder, Stu, why would you want to do that? Well, it's simple. A lot of us seem to be unaware that such things happen, that people are taken advantage of under the guise of aid in natural disasters. It's not something new by no stretch of the imagination. Or is it something that is given enough attention? It's not, in my opinion, because there might be some acknowledgement of it, and then it blows over, it goes away, it's swept on the rug somewhere because of the players involved. To participate in tonight's broadcast, I just want to remind you 773-789-STEW is the number that you call, text, WhatsApp, Telegram to get you in touch. 773-789-7839. And the phone lines are always open. 773-789-STEW. That's a quick way to remember it. For those who are listening on the affiliate platforms, thank you very much. That's how you get in touch. Those who are watching, the number is scrolling across the bottom of your screen right now. If you're on kevinstew.com or you're on YouTube Live, that is where you see the number scrolling across the screen. But we're talking about disaster corruption tonight. And it is more prevalent than we would like to acknowledge. And it's one of those things that shouldn't happen at all. But let's put all the pieces to this together. Because some people acknowledge that there is corruption whenever there's a natural disaster because it's an opportunity for people who are connected to take advantage of a situation. And the connections can be anywhere from politicians to contractors and a number of connections in between. First of all, we need to recognize what happens to people when they don't get help after a disaster. Without psychological support, disaster survivors risk transitioning from acute, normal stress responses into chronic mental health conditions. Untreated trauma also often hardens into debilitating issues like PTSD, severe depression, and chronic anxiety. And it also leads to social isolation, substance misuse, and severe disruptions in relationships and daily functions. Without intervention, acute emotional responses can develop into clinical diagnoses. You have your PTSD, your depression, and your complicated grief. And I got into this in detail in those two broadcasts I mentioned before, the one 6 years ago and the one 6 months ago. There's cognitive and physical breakdown. And this particular one that I want you to pay extra special attention to, community-wide decay. Community-wide decay is linked to interpersonal and behavioral issues. With this interpersonal and behavioral issues, you have emotional strain directly impacting how survivors connect with others and cope with daily life. There is social withdrawal and alienation. There's substance abuse, and there's relational conflict. When a large population is affected and lacks group therapy or community level psychological support, the collective trauma can break down the social fabric, leading to prolonged community apathy and distrust. Greetings, G Angel. How you doing? There was a paper that featured common types of natural disasters, an article, and and we know what some of these disasters are. You have your earthquakes and your hurricanes and tropical storms, your tornadoes, wildfires, blizzards, droughts, landslides, mudslides, extreme heat. All these are classified under natural disasters. Interestingly enough, although some of these things are going to happen anyway, and they often do, the disaster that comes along with them are often human linked. There isn't, let's look at it this way. Taking the analogy of if a tree falls in the woods and there's nobody around, does it make a sound? A storm in the middle of the ocean with no islands or no life around is just a storm. No matter how big it gets, it's just a storm. When that storm interacts with human life and it leads to destruction and displacement, then it becomes a natural disaster. And so we have the effects of these disasters. The National Institutes of Health had done an article a few years ago. And in this article, they say the current narrative review has confirmed in their conclusions. They mention that, and maybe I should put things into perspective, as Isaac would say, context matters. Let's put things into context. They were talking about the impact of natural disasters on mental health and evidence and implications. And because I'm not focusing on that aspect of it, I just want to lay some groundwork here. In their conclusions, they said the current narrative review has confirmed the prior evidence that through a range of direct and indirect means, natural disasters have a deleterious effect on people's mental health. That being said, undoubtedly, a natural disaster is a distinct event that in its breadth and scope affects individuals' lives to various degrees, permanently altering some to temporarily changing others. We already know that typically individuals who face a significant adversity related to disasters bounce back and can resume normal functioning. However, for some, a disaster can produce long or short-term psychological distress, leading to amplifying mental illness like depression, anxiety, PTSD. In other words, it is well known that there is an adverse long-term well-being impact of disasters as people's initial and later reactions to a crisis event vary in degrees. Yet, less known are the transitional properties of disaster events and the ways they can affect the mental well-being of the exposed individuals during the pre- and post-disaster periods. Thus, an important contribution of this review is that it identified how a disaster event can change people's lives. Now, and there's more to it. You can visit the National Institutes of Health and read up some more on that. Natural disasters, we know, have a psychological effect. It also has an economical effect. When people think of natural disasters that had a long-lasting impact on the US, the United States, events such as Hurricane Katrina, the Chicago heat wave of 1995, the 1906 San Francisco earthquake, these are some of the disasters that come to mind. But there are also lesser-known events that don't seem extreme on the surface at all, but they affect economies too. And according to the monthly labor review put out by bls.gov a few years ago, this was a question that about the economic impact That was posed by Leah Platt Booston, Matthew Kahn, Paul Rode, and Maria Lucia Yangunas, all of the National Bureau of Economic Research. The authors created a new long-run disaster database that includes information on a full spectrum of natural disasters in the US from 1920 to 2010. And the team studied the data to determine how events shaped local economies and populations. And they specifically looked at how these natural disasters, these events, affected migration rates, home prices, and local poverty rates. The study's unit of analysis is the county. The goal is to analyze if counties that faced natural disasters lost population through net out migration and experienced rising poverty rates, and if they did, whether the changes were statistically significant. Now, hey Merle, how you doing? When we look and we think about some of these areas, let's expand our minds just a little bit. Yes, the study was done on some US disasters, but let's expand our minds just a little bit and remove geographical lines altogether. In the paper, a severe disaster is defined as a natural disaster that caused 10 or more deaths. A super severe disaster is defined as an event that caused 100 or more deaths. All human-related disasters such as mine collapses, transportation accidents, arson, these were not included in the study. So don't look at those. And it's funny, those are more linked to human disasters than are storms, fires, wildfires, and earthquakes, when there's a human component to all of these disasters. How we build our homes and places of business and places of learning, where exactly we build them. All of these things come into play. And how we implement courses of action if an event were to happen. All of these things come into play. Data on natural disasters were found using the International Emergency Events Database, referred to as EMDAT, and death counts from the American Red Cross. Migration was estimated for US counties using 1950 to 2010 data from the University of Wisconsin-Madison and 1930 to 50 data from Inter-University Consortium for Political and Social Research. There was a correlation found between outmigration and poverty rates. As outmigration of the non-poor population in areas hit by super severe disasters grew, poverty rates in those areas rose. Draw the connection, connect the dots. This can be attributed to the fact that the poorest people are least likely to have the financial means or ability to leave the area. The strongest migration response was found to be from volcanoes, hurricanes, and forest fires. Incidentally, when you look at the California fires, a lot of people tend to go back to rebuild. Why exactly? I'm not too sure. I don't live over there, but I'm afraid of fires, so I'll go with the water part. So I'll take my chances with the wind and rain. The average county within the sample experienced 2 disasters in a typical decade, with floods being the most common type, followed by storms and hurricanes. In each decade, 1 in 3 counties experienced a severe disaster, and 1 in 10 counties experienced a super severe disaster. There was a correlation found between outmigration and poverty rates. Outmigration of the non-poor population in areas hit by super severe disasters grew, poverty rates in those areas rose. The strongest migration response were found from the volcanoes, hurricanes, and forest fires. I just needed to reiterate that. I should have said it before so that you didn't think that you were having a case of deja vu. The paper also touched on the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, and the moral hazard that is an individual's willingness to take on more risk because someone else bears the cost of the risk. That has been attributed to their creation in 1978. FEMA was created to help populations affected by natural disasters, including potentially offering financial assistance to those directly affected. However, the data shows that migration out of an area in response to natural disasters has actually risen in recent decades. The reason may be that disasters have become more frequent. Also, transfer payments following disasters tend to not be based on where the recipient lives, which allows the recipient to move to another county while still receiving the financial assistance. In conclusion, the authors found that relatively mild disasters had little effect on local economies, but counties hit by severe disasters experienced increased out-migration, lower home prices, and higher poverty rates. Lower demand to live in an area leads to lower rent and attracts those with lower incomes. In this case, major natural disasters shake up socioeconomic norms in affected regions, causing those who are able to move to relocate to more stable, safer areas, while those who do not have the means to leave, they remain. The authors end the paper by comparing natural disasters with war, and they contend that populations quickly recover after an area is bombed because the effects of war end when the peace treaty is made. Natural disasters, in contrast, are prevalent in areas. As a result, the likelihood of disinvestment in labor and capital is higher in these areas. The authors leave us with an open-ended question about whether the federal government will continue to bolster natural disaster-prone areas and what impact that support would have on labor and capital. Now, in an area where you don't have as much resource coming in, like that provided by FEMA, how does that relief look? Because the other aspects, those don't change. The other characteristics where you have the areas, you have out-migration happening, and then socioeconomic norms being affected. So what you have is the value of property decreasing because the economy has changed. It's not thriving like it used to be in those areas that disaster has hit. And we see this in parts of Louisiana. After Hurricane Katrina, there are places in Louisiana that have not yet recovered. Even today, they have not recovered. You have places in Detroit. And you might think, well, what happened in Detroit? Well, there's the water issue. And the pollution of the water, you may not see it as a natural disaster. It is not really a natural disaster because it is contamination caused by industries. But what has happened is a lot of those communities still have not recovered. So what has happened is the value of property in those areas have gone down. And now those areas that used to be thriving are now poverty-stricken. You see what has happened? So ask yourself the question, what happens if a community is deprived of relief long enough? Or, put another way, what if they're deprived of relief, for financial relief, for too long? So, because you never really know how long is long enough. We're going to take a quick little break, and when we come back, we're going to talk some more. First of all, I want to remind you of the audiobook Empowered: Essential Concepts and Strategies Every Woman Should Know About Self-Defense, that is available to you, and not just for women either. I narrated this book. It was authored by Jonathan Field, and so you can find it on Audible. You can visit kevinstew.com and click on the picture of the book cover, and it takes you to exactly where you need to be to download your copy of the book. I learned a lot as I narrated this book. You will learn a lot from listening to it. Get one for yourself. Get one for somebody that you care about. Notice I didn't say for a woman you care about. I said for someone you care about, because it's as good for men as it is for women. But it is directed toward women who tend to be the most at risk.
On October 28th, Melissa, a Category 5 hurricane, turned her wrath upon her homeland, Jamaica. On October 28th, Melissa, a Category 5 hurricane, turned her wrath upon her homeland, Jamaica. In the aftermath, thousands of homes were destroyed, lives, pets, and livestock were lost, and dreams and hopes dashed. Resilient as we Jamaicans are known to be, our brothers and sisters on the island need our help now. To this end, the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation, OJLDF, has launched its official fundraiser. Please donate generously at OJLDF.net. We are depending on each and every one of you to get the most needed supplies to our people at home. Go to OJLDF.net. That's OJLDF.net, and hit the donate button today. Thank you.
Get your Miracle Fire Rub for all joint pain, poor circulation, inflammation, and other aches and pain. Rub it on, the pain is gone. Rub it twice, then you feel nice. Miracle Fire Rub is all natural, all herbal, with no side effects. Order yours today, 876-808-5903, or call 876-372-1366. Miracle Fire Rub. Rub it on, pain is gone. Rub it twice, then you feel nice.
Imagine having our own Caribbean Center.
Imagine a museum highlighting our history and the contributions of Caribbean people to the world.
Imagine being able to visit and learn about the islands we call home.
In a place where our kids can see and feel their cultural heritage.
Your contribution to Island Space Caribbean Museum will help this dream come true.
Visit islandspacefl.org/GoFundMe
and donate today.
Yes. Akara Mantino, I'm making notes right now. You are locked in to DJ Kevin Stew on the night shift.
1988, Gilbert was the last major hurricane. Babes, Melissa Moe, Jaja.
Yo, me pre-walk one down a yard, and me heart pain. The one Melissa, the female hurricane. Any woman out there near Melissa, remember Melissa? That are the worst name. The whole place a ball. Them can't understand. What make Melissa? I feel my shop we island. I true wanted and I keep a party what day and get the best dressed female to a tough face man. Melissa dump and we like the Lakers. All gangster ball forgot. Watch the fakers. Me know say Melissa is a girl from foreign. Where a yard man trick forget him papers. All trees start drop before breeze start blow. All CNN reach a yard, so you don't know. All flat bridge gone underwater from early, so you don't know how the river them a flow. Melissa come with vengeance in our eye. Mash up people low, some few people die. Make we join hands and out and fix back the place. Jamaica full of love that them can't deny. I hope Rosalie have money for buy dinner, and she never use the whole of it for buy the beamer. Yo, set best full of so much water, you know. You can't reach Santa Cruz unless you is a swimmer. Our Songsters Airport, who know want see it. Partner of the roof, but everything a leak. Me can't believe in the middle of the storm. Looters out the road, I look something for thief. For reach a St. Bess, you know, you need a boat. Every vegetarian, I go start eat goat. The whole plantation mash up. So every family in a foreign, link up, cause them need with support. Me start pack a one barrel from me see the first news. Plus no one on the time for the picking and choose. All some hot girl who used to talk about Louis. Now, them will take a second hand shows. Right now, anything will work. Cause that star me I better than 10 Gilbert. Melissa come with vengeance in our eye. Mash up people house and few people die. Make we join hands and heart and fix back the place. Jamaica full of love that them can't deny.
Peace. That's something I look good. Yeah, that's what I say.
So not bad, General.
Yo, Melissa me away. Melissa me away.
Remember this? It's been a minute since I played it, right? Welcome back from the break. Those of you just joining us, welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad to have you. Couldn't do it without you. Like I always tell you, I wouldn't try. But I do invite you to call a friend, tell a friend, friends of your friends, friends of your enemies, enemies of your friends, and your enemies too. Call somebody, anybody, everybody, let them know the night shift is on with DJ Kevin Stew. And tonight, Community and Finance Night, and we're looking at disaster corruption. Now, when you look at corruption, you generally look at that in one category by itself. When you look at disasters, you'll generally look at it in one category by itself. Not often do we put them together. Funny enough, we often see them together. Do we acknowledge it? That's another question. G-Angel, watch the time, don't watch the sun. Thank you very much. So, here we are, looking out and connecting dots as it relates to disasters and corruption. And I really want people to take from this an understanding of how corruption can happen and why it happens, unfortunately, too often. KFF.org had put out an article in 2024, and it's titled Disasters in the Wake of Hurricanes Helene and Milton. And it reads, extreme weather events used to be once in a century occurrences, but due to climate change, they have increased in both intensity and frequency. Hurricane Helene has claimed over 200 lives and is the deadliest hurricane to hit the continental US since Hurricane Katrina. It is also projected to be one of the most expensive storms to hit the country. Hurricane Milton is one of the worst storms to hit Florida in over 100 years. The Biden-Harris administration had mobilized resources to support the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA. You heard me mention them before, those of you who are not familiar with them. The Department of Defense and efforts to provide emergency assistance to families. At the same time, FEMA is facing ongoing misinformation and disinformation that may hamper responsive efforts. Amid recovery and response efforts, it's important to recognize that hurricanes and other natural disasters have far-reaching impacts on health and well-being in their immediate aftermath and over the long term. These impacts are uneven, with many groups who already face disparities in health and health care bearing the brunt of storms and other natural disasters, or disasters on a whole. The uneven impacts reflects disparities in people's risk of exposure to natural disasters, their ability to prepare for, evacuate from, and to recover from a natural disaster, and long-term impacts, as we're going to look at. Now, many of the same factors that contribute to health inequalities, or health inequities, I should say, leave some communities at higher risk of experiencing a natural disaster. Low-income communities and communities of color are on the front lines of natural disasters and climate change. Due to historical residential segregation, including redlining, people of color are more likely to live in neighborhoods that have a worse infrastructure, increasing their risk of harm and limiting their ability to prepare or safely shelter in place. Some people in Jamaica still haven't recovered from Gilbert. You know what, G Angel? I believe you. It has been over 20 years since I've left Jamaica. And I knew then of people who had just really started recovering from Hurricane Gilbert, which happened in 1988. And you've heard me tell the story of my experience in Hurricane Gilbert. Waking up that morning, watching the rain, being out there in the rain, walking parallel to the ground almost because the wind had me. Watching my coconut tree fall over on my neighbor's fence, watching my breadfruit tree fall over. It survived though. Hearing my roof lift off, going out in the night, looking up at where my ceiling once was and seeing stars. That was my experience. And for years, we had to set pans to catch water when it rained. And that happened for quite some time. We actually moved from that house without it fully being fixed. And that was years later. And I would say we lived in a pretty decent neighborhood. So those that lived in more poverty-stricken areas, can you imagine what they went through? And GHL, you left Jamaica more recently than I did, so you would know. Not that I don't have connections in Jamaica still, but I haven't spoken with anybody about it. And since you mentioned it just now, I didn't even really think about it. Whereas I have thought about storms and the effects of it. But I digress. In most states, homes in formerly redlined neighborhoods are more likely to be in flood zones. However, in Florida, more blue and green-lined desirable neighborhoods have a higher risk of flooding due to proximity to the beach and other reasons. Data on patterns of flooding associated with hurricanes Helene and Milton weren't available at the time of the writing of this article. Rural communities face challenges responding to natural disasters ranging from physical isolation, high poverty rates, and limited access to health care, as well as limited financial capacity. The southeast region of the United States is particularly vulnerable to severe tropical storms due to climate change, and its persistently high poverty rates inhibit residents' ability to prepare for and recover from storms. Pay attention to that. High poverty rates inhibit residents' ability to prepare for and recover from storms. Further, many of the states in the southeast have not implemented the ACA medical expansion, leaving lower income residents in those states with more limited access to health care, which may contribute to challenges addressing both immediate and longer-term health needs. A significant portion of people of color live in the South, with more than half of black people residing in southern states. Moreover, one study finds that black communities are twice as likely as other communities in the Southeast to experience a hurricane. It is estimated that by 2050, homes owned by black people in this region will be nearly twice as likely to be damaged by hurricanes compared to other communities. Now, when you take that information and you transpose it to a country that is predominantly black, like Jamaica, you don't really look at race as a factor. So what then becomes your factor for disaster and recovery is class. So class comes into play. And what you also have coming into play is potential development. Now, of course, I'm going to go into this a little bit more. And we have one more segment to paint the big picture, right? Merle says, I haven't recovered from Ivan. I lost furniture plus, oh, you lost furniture and a house? Separate and apart from the house that you live in, right? No, you lost a different house. I didn't know that, Merle. And that part, it is frightening. That is the part that is the psychological effect of natural disasters. The psychological effect connects with the socio-economic effect. They're not separate and apart. They are connected. Because what happens to a people psychologically will definitely affect their socio-economic connections. If you're suffering from PTSD and depression, your ability to perform or your output, your labor output, is also affected. And so the type of income that you could have generated had you not been diagnosed or had you not suffered this situation is far diminished. In addition to that, some of the businesses that were available in the community are no longer there because of damage from these storms. And so here you have now the effects of economics coming into play. And the disasters that rolled in and the remnants of the disaster, what has been left is a depletion of resources and the removal of human resources. What are you left with? Not much to build on. But at the same time, if you're a developer, you're left with an opportunity to build something more. We'll get into it. Evacuation efforts for storms have highlighted disparities in people's ability to prepare for and evacuate in advance of major storms. About half of immigrants have limited English proficiency, LEP, and may face language barriers accessing evacuation and preparation resources. When Hurricane Beryl tore through Houston in 2024, it also tore through parts, well, it didn't quite go through Jamaica. It kind of went by Jamaica and caused some damage. And people still haven't recovered from Beryl. But it hit Texas wickedly, parts of Texas. So when it tore through significant portions of the city's community with LEP, the language barrier, the limited English proficiency, they felt unprepared as most emergency resources were written in Spanish and English, but not in other languages spoken by a large number of residents. Low-income communities, many of whom are people of color, are more likely to face financial challenges. In preparing for natural disasters, a survey of Hurricane Harvey evacuees find that people who evacuated spent on average between $1,200 and $2,300, accounting for lodging, transportation, food, and loss of income. There are also gaps in federal disaster management and response efforts. And research finds that recovery efforts are often inequitably distributed and favor white and wealthier communities over lower income communities and communities of color. In a KFF survey of Texas Gulf residents affected by Hurricane Harvey, 6 in 10 affected black residents reported feeling like they were not getting the help they needed to recover, compared to a third of affected white residents. So you're talking about 2/3 of black residents versus 1/3 of white residents. Further, a federal report finds that there were disparities in response efforts to Hurricane Harvey in Texas and Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico, with Hurricane Harvey survivors receiving more aid faster compared to survivors of Hurricane Maria. The report also cited language barriers as a major issue that contributed to delays in people receiving aid and recovery support. Now, for those in Jamaica, what have you realized about aid coming after Hurricane Melissa? Because I know of people who are still suffering. G. Angel mentioned people still suffering from 1988 Hurricane Gilbert. The effects of Hurricane Beryl in 2024 that didn't directly hit parts of Jamaica still exist. Then came 2025 with Hurricane Melissa. And we know for a fact that people are still suffering and still begging for help. And the recovery efforts for some in Jamaica, they feel are not coming at all. One of the issues that Jamaica is facing, though, is not an issue of black or white. Definitely an issue of class. Compounded on an issue of class is an issue of political lines. And so there are some individuals that are in areas that are aligned with one political party that may be getting more resources than the other. When resources are provided to the country for the disaster prone or those areas that were affected by the disaster. So it wasn't, the relief didn't come and with a label on it to say it is for the people of this particular area or the people of this particular party in this particular area. The relief came for people affected by the disaster. The distribution of said relief, however, is where we have a problem. And so we see where there are disparities in how disaster relief comes for communities. Now, another thing that happens is the corruption. And it's important to pay attention to how the corruption part works and what happens as a result of it. We're going to take another quick little break. Go ahead, get some water, use the bathroom real quick, because when we come back, we're going to ask the question, how do natural disasters encourage corruption? We're going to ask that question and see what kind of answers we get. I'll see you back here in just a few moments, because I can't end the night without addressing this part of it. This is the main part of our broadcast tonight. The other part was kind of setting it up for this, because the other parts are a big part of how this happens. Yeah? We'll be back in just a few moments.
Global Digital Records, your gateway to the world stage. Music production to music rights and royalty administration. An exclusive radio promotion through the Global Digital Radio Syndicate. We don't just play your music, we position it. Broadcasting across multiple stations, reaching audiences worldwide. Contact globaldigitalrecords.com or call 954-998-8034, where your music meets the world.
Well, here it is. The Foundation Radio Network app is now available for Android and iPhones for free. Yes, you heard correctly. Just go to your Google Play Store or your Apple App Store and download the Foundation Radio Network. Big people music with the young in mind. Now you can carry the Foundation Radio Network around with you wherever you go without ever missing a beat. Listen to Clinton Lindsay Mondays through Fridays, 12 noon till 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tony Ryan Monday through Thursdays at 5 p.m. Marlon Burrell Mondays and Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Kevin Stew Mondays through Wednesday at 10 p.m. And T-Rob Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. Check out Reason with Rattigan Saturdays at 3 p.m. Homegrown with G. Cole Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Hillsman comes to you Sundays and Thursdays at 9 p.m. and Brother Mitch Mondays through Fridays at 7 a.m. And check out the Foundation Radio Network Top 30 Countdowns on Fridays at 2 p.m. And don't forget to subscribe to Clinton Lindsay's YouTube channel at Clinton Lindsay Official. And cut. What are you doing, dude? You tell me somebody can direct the thing. I did not. Foundation! People just get the app.
Hey, Dad, how do you throw a curveball? How do you build a fort? How do refrigerators run? How do fish learn how to swim?
Kids ask a lot of questions.
How high can you jump?
But you don't have to know every answer.
How many phone numbers are there?
Because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent.
How do cell phones work?
There are thousands of children in foster care who don't need every question answered.
What's electricity?
They just need you.
What's the moon made of?
For more information on how you can adopt, go to adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
It's Christina representing for DJ Kevin. You see me, I say, I don't know the boss. You see me, I say, DJ Kevin Stew and the night shift radio show. Yo, it at the thing, turn up the thing loud. Whoa, DJ Kevin Stew at the heart of a champion. Never underestimate, just choose him. The silver line behind the dark clouds. DJ Kevin Stew believing, and that's no doubt. Salute the night shift radio show, Christina. It's a hot it up loud.
This morning skies look gray, still not give up. We are hope and pray. Tears are flow down, we are feeling the pain. But one thing for sure, we will rise again. Oh, wicked and Melissa, you blow me things on shorter and longer nights, but love all around, we will be alright. Oh, wicked girl Melissa, you're blowing things away. You take for yourself, you'll be glad you never say. Give thanks in life we there, I see a way. I know the sun will be back to bright the way day. No storms can shake the vibe we feel. We root them deep, them made of steel. Everyone that join hands a play a role. We will firm to guide we soul. I know soon our skies will be blue. Some feel down but we still a pull through. We'll build back strong, that's what we do. We're a spiritual island, that is so true. Wicked girl Melissa, you're blowing things away. You take for yourself, you'll be glad you never say. Give thanks in life we day, I see a way. I know the sun will be back to right the way day. Whoa, ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Oh, wicked girl Melissa. Oh,
Music from Mr. Vegas bringing us back from the break. Talking about that wicked girl. Yeah, Melissa blow through. Mash up the place. Welcome back. And welcome to those who are just joining us. Better late than never. On this Community and Finance Night, as we address disaster corruption. So, in the first two segments, we kind of set up how people are affected by disasters. First, you have the psychological effects. And it doesn't necessarily happen in that order. First, it's just that this was the order that I addressed it tonight. You had the psychological effects. And then you had the socio-economic effects. When you couple these, now you kind of set the plate for other things to happen. G. Angel, I wonder if I met you back then or met you in passing back with Hurricane Gilbert, because if you were in Whitehall, up the Whitehall area, and you walk through areas like Zeta Gardens where I lived, then we may have crossed paths back then. We may have. But we really need to talk about that a little bit more, because the more we talk on these platforms, is the more it feel like I probably should have known you from back in Jamaica. It just feel that way. Anyway, I digress. Natural disasters and the meat of the matter, corruption. How do natural disasters encourage corruption? You might ask. It's a plausible question, because if there's a natural disaster, you would think, okay, here comes some relief, the relief going to the people them getting better, so there shouldn't be any room for corruption. Right? Wrong. Natural disasters encourage corruption primarily by generating massive resource windfalls and compromising institutional transparency during the chaotic aftermath. While extreme weather does not invent criminal behavior, it provides a unique intersection of high-pressure environments, weakened legal guardrails, and rapid capital flows that allow fraud to thrive. This is an excerpt from Northwestern University, a study that they did. And it makes sense. In that one paragraph alone, we have a general idea of how things can fall into place and just sit very well for those who mean well for their pockets. Econometric, and governance data highlight several specific mechanisms through which this occurs. And here it is, we're going to go down into it. It's a quick overview. It was a question that I had asked and gotten a response. And it's a response that I'm giving you, the quick response. Sudden resource windfalls. What happens here? Massive funding influx. Catastrophic events trigger rapid infusions of federal aid, insurance payouts, and international donations. Research indicates a direct correlation between disaster relief allocations and spikes in local public corruption convictions. If, and only if, there is a watchdog that will use their teeth to bite a chunk out of this corruption. If there is no monitoring body that is going to take any action on any of this corruption, then it is going to continue. You have rent-seeking incentives. The immense volume of capital increases the direct economic benefits of fraudulent appropriation, and this motivates bad actors to position themselves to skim or misdirect funds. Whenever there's a natural disaster and people lose their homes, because of an influx of individuals looking for places to live, what you find is law of economics, supply and demand. If there's a high enough demand and a low enough supply, then the suppliers are in a position to raise the not necessarily the value, but the cost of acquiring that asset. And so the individuals looking for somewhere to live will end up paying a premium to get it when it is not worth a premium. You understand? So the actual cost of the living arrangement is now inflated because there are so many people that are looking for somewhere to live that the people that have the places to live can do that. Capitalism at its best, according to some. For others, it's really just corrupt practices. There's a suspension of oversight and fast-track procurement. We have seen this and the justification given for this in the Jamaican government only a little bit too often. Emergency bypasses the urgent need for food, water, medical aid, and shelter forces governments to bypass standard competitive bidding protocols. And then it becomes a matter of, because of an emergency, here it is, we had to acquire these resources without or bypassing the relevant procurement or the standard procurement practices. And in the event of an emergency, that can happen. The problem with that is you can't just constantly be calling it emergency protocols and taking advantage of a people. That's not right. So you award contracts, you being the government, would award contracts to these contractors that are associated or affiliated with you or that you can get kickbacks from. And this is how that aspect of corruption happens. The contracts are granted to people who shouldn't be getting them. Is that such a bad thing? It can be. And here's how it can be. As a friend of someone in a position of power who has the ability to grant contracts, I could position myself to receive said contract, though not having the skill set needed to provide the service that is required. Y'all get that? Basically, I don't know anything about construction, but because I know the people that are awarding the contracts for the construction, for the rebuilding, I put a bid in, or I say, hey, I can do this. Give me the contract. I get the contract because it's under the umbrella, under the guise of an emergency. I get the contract. Then I subcontract it out for less, because what is also happening is that there are individuals who can do the job that cannot get this contract at this time because I have positioned myself to receive it and they cannot put in a bid to get it. And because they're looking for resources themselves to stay afloat, to keep their business open, they will gladly take what I am willing to give, which I had received at a premium, that they would have gotten at a premium had they been able to submit a bid. But alas, the corruption that exists, I get the benefit. I'm pawing off some. What that then happens, what that then causes, is those contractors end up shortcutting because what is available to them financially can't do what is needed to be done. So they're going to cut costs and cut corners. What you end up finding is, and you can look some of this up, when you look at, I believe it was one of the floods, one of the tsunamis over in one of the Asian countries, Indonesia, one of them, I believe, when the homes were reconstructed because of corruption, they were reconstructed at substandard. And what ended up happening is that some of those homes had to be demolished and then rebuilt. So it ended up costing more. The only good part about that is the individuals who had done the initial reconstruction had to repay. They were charged and had to repay. But that can only happen if there's an agency that is in place that has the ability to hold these individuals accountable. The accountability meter is what is broken when you find that the corruption is thriving as a result of a natural disaster. So that takes us to the breakdown of institutional governance. But before I do that, let me just touch on another aspect of the suspended oversight and fast-track procurement. Expedited procurement procedures create opportunities for corrupt officials to approve inflated or fraudulent contracts rapidly in exchange for bribes and kickbacks. That's basically what I was talking about with the contract awarding. Disasters regularly damage physical records, compromise communications, and displace monitoring staff. So then that creates administrative chaos. And this is the breakdown in governance. With local enforcement mechanisms overwhelmed or severely crippled, the risk of detection drops drastically, lowering the morale and legal costs for opportunists. This is eroded accountability. Then, under the heading of vulnerability and bribery at the corporate level, you have a sharp contraction in standard government financial assistance can induce private businesses to pay informal communication fees or bribes to secure scarce post-disaster aid. That is the implementation of your access fees. And in regions lacking formalized, resilient disaster management systems, small-scale extortion and bribery often spike as citizens navigate the collapse of everyday public services. This is the exploitation of weak structures. This dynamic creates a dangerous, self-reinforcing loop. Pre-existing corruption undermines the quality of physical infrastructure, such as failing to enforce strict building codes, which directly increase deaths and damages during a disaster. The resulting devastation then draws a massive emergency windfalls, fueling the next wave of systemic exploitation. The understanding that natural disaster or disaster seasons are cyclical is not one too difficult to understand. There are parts of Jamaica that were damaged by Hurricane Melissa that have still not gotten any type of relief. Hurricane Melissa was August of 2025. We are now at the beginning of the new hurricane season. So, where does that put some of our people in Jamaica? First of all, they're already nervous because they're wondering what this season is going to bring. Because even if it doesn't bring a hurricane, understand this. People have lost their homes and are living in makeshift areas, makeshift shelters. Any weather event is a catastrophe, is a potential for a catastrophic event. Let me say it again. Because people have not yet recovered from the last disaster, any weather event in this, it was October. Thank you, G Angel. October of 2025. Yes, because it was toward the end of the hurricane season. Any weather event in happening in the coming days is a mini disaster because people have not yet recovered. Their homes that a few weeks ago on Reason with Rattigan, we had shown some pictures of homes currently. There's an individual that was living in an already substandard housing situation. Basically, it was a shack. This shack was leaning. It was held up by posts that were placed between the wall of the structure and the ground. effectively creating a lever, holding the building up, preventing it from falling over. If this is the kind of disaster relief that was provided for individuals from this past disaster, this new hurricane season that is starting now, which generally brings heavy rains in the afternoons, because that is one of the things that happens round about this time of the year. The days are hot, afternoons bring at least one storm type shower each week. At least one. And this is my experience in South Florida. Now, thinking back to my experience back in Jamaica, round about this time was when we would have business house football, and I would remember most afternoons there being rain before we either go train or play a match. So I don't think much has changed. I don't think the weather pattern is that much different in Jamaica than it is here in South Florida. What is guaranteed is that there will be rain. If there is rain, those who are living in substandard housing situations will be affected. Because of these oversights, because of these relaxing of necessary guidelines in the name of an emergency, some of the resources that were provided for these individuals to have better living situations were diverted. And one of the other things that will happen with this diversion of funds leading to corruption is with real estate, with developers, land developers. Remember I talked at the beginning about the psychological effects of a natural disaster? And I had asked the question, what happens if relief is withheld just long enough? Or for too long? You have the decay of a community, literally. That's what happens. Whether because of out-migration or just simply because the damage that has been created that has not been repaired is left to degrade even more. What that leads to is the devaluing of property. So what happens at that point? Now you have developers that roll on in and start making offers. Why would these developers seem to be saviors? Well, simply because as an individual who is in a position where resources are not coming, financial relief is a question of availability. You want to be able to survive. You want to be able to get your life in some type of order. You are in a desperate situation, and desperate situations cause for desperate measures. Here it is, your desperate measure is selling out to the first bidder. Just so that you can get out, just so that you can be in a better position. Here's your out-migration happening as a result of a developer now giving you an out. Property that would have been sold at a premium is being sold for chump change. Why? Because of unfair practices. Because it behooves those who are in a position to grant contracts. It benefits them from kickbacks and bribes. This is not something that is made up. This is something that we see happening. This is something that we saw happen in Louisiana with Katrina. It happened in parts of Texas. It happened in parts of Detroit. It happened in Turkey with after the earthquakes. It happened in parts of Indonesia. The only silver lining is that there have been convictions as a result of corruption. There have been. Maybe there haven't been enough, but there have been convictions. The problem is bringing the charge. When you have a government that is operating in less than favorable practices or operating using less than favorable practices for the wider population, then you will have corruption. In recent weeks, we've heard of the passing of the Naira bill in Jamaica. When you look at this bill, it screams corruption. However, the argument is that here is a bill that is being put in place so that bureaucratic red tape can be eliminated and aid can be provided for those who need it in the face of a natural disaster. It is eliminating checks and balances, however, and we see where the elimination of checks and balances lead to corruption. So, where are we heading as it relates to this potential disaster season? And I say a potential disaster season because it's hurricane season that is coming, and the potential for a hurricane to strike exists. Where does it leave us? How then do we take any kind of action to put ourselves in a better position to meet the needs of a people who have been afflicted by a natural disaster and provide for them the resources that were provided for them, provide to them the resources that were provided for them? We have to eliminate the corruption in order for that to happen. The corruption grows and is bred as a result of the elimination of certain guidelines in the name of an emergency. Shouldn't we then be, if we want to be so upright and just, shouldn't we then be putting better checks and balances in place so that there can be a more efficient system instead of removing them? Just food for thought. How do you feel about it? What say you?
Oh God.
As we get into musical therapy, this is Aisha Barrett.
Still rise.
It's called Jamaica Strong.
Melissa can't no friend for. She tear down the place, mash up we wall. But but still we there, still we stand tall. Cause love never dead, it conquer all. Mama I pray, the picnic them all tight. Darkness come, but we find the light. From the countryside to Kingston, we sing it loud. Jamaica strong.
Here it is. Here it is. Let me read this comment to y'all. My roof now is zinc. So what I'm doing is removing the nails and screwing it down. It's an expensive process. The screws are not sold by the pound as nails are. They are sold individually. Think about that. As we move forward in our regular lives, think about the individuals who have survived whatever disaster and are a little bit more comfortable now in preparation for the potential for another. Here is what they had to do. Here is what has to be done. The expense goes on. Where's the recovery that was supposed to come as a result of the last disaster? The resource that was provided, that less than 2% has been dispersed. Where is it? Who's accountable?
Oh God, me island cry, but we still rise.
Thank you, G Angel.
Jamaica strong. Melissa care no friend for. She tear down the place, mash up we walk. But still we there, still we stand tall. Cause love never dead, it conquer all. Mama I pray, the picnic them all tight. Darkness come, but we find the light. From the countryside to Kingston, we sing it loud. Jamaica strong, Jamaica strong. We rise again from the flood, from the pain. One love, one blood, one name. We rebuild again, we no shame. Jamaica strong, my people brave. Every tear become a wave. We pray, we hit, we move as one. Cause God and love bring back the sun. Neighbor to neighbor, we lend we hand. Help the youth, them fi understand. We can't survive if we no unite. All togetherness bring the light. We send prayers from foreign to yard. We are one world, one heart, one God. From Montego Bay to Portland Soul, we rise again. We are God bless grown Jamaica strong. We rise again from the flood, from the pain. One love, one heart, one flame. We build again, we call your name. Jamaica strong, we never gone. We live through the night till the bright new dawn. We pray, we heal, we move as one. Jamaica strong. Father guide we through the storm. Keep the people safe and warm. Bless the island where we born. Hold we close till new life dawn. Jamaica strong, we rise again. Jamaica strong, we rise again. From the flood, from the pain. One love, one heart, one flame. We build again, we call your name. Jamaica, Jamaica, youth of many one people. Jamaica, Jamaica strong, forever live on.
Look on the beauty of Jamaica, land of food and water, blessed by the Father.
Mystic.
Jamaica rise and shine, we rise and shine again.
Sweet Jamaica rise.
Sweet Jamaica rise and shine, we rise and shine, my friend. Tell them.
One of 3 songs coming out of the Global Bass family that was rejected for the festival song competition.
It's forever mine, my friend. Tell them. Raise your flag and make them fly. From the mountain, kiss the sky. Bold and proud for the world to see. Jamaica, land of unity. From Marcus Garvey, vision clear. Oh, Marcus Garvey. Do not need courage without fear. Oh, Mama, he's Bennett. Words and rhyme. To Bob Marley vibes across all time. Sweet Jamaica, rise and shine. We rise and shine again.
Thank you, Merle.
And again. Sweet Jamaica, rise and shine. We rise and shine, my friend. Tell them. Sweet Jamaica, rise and shine. We rise and shine again. Again and again. Tell them the black, green and gold is forever mine, my friend. One more thing. Farmers plant, we teachers guide. Our athletes run with national pride. Creative minds, we heart so strong. Proud and strong and sing along there. One day, one destiny. Strength in our unity. One day, one destiny. Join the choir, come sing with me. Sweet Jamaica, rise and shine. We rise and shine again. Rise and shine again. Sweet Jamaica, rise and shine. We rise and shine, my friend. Shine bright for the world to see. Sweet Jamaica, rise and shine. We rise and shine again. Jamaica, land of unity. Tell them the black, green and gold is forever mine, my friend. Tell them, Sweet Jamaica, rise and shine. We rise and shine again. From the morning we rise. Sweet Jamaica, rise and shine.
1962, the pride of our nation comes alive. Independence from slavery, symbols for you and me. The black, green and gold.
This is Winchester T.
Throughout the world, we shock them with intelligence displayed.
Reminding us Jamaica is sweet.
Jamaica is sweet. Came to feel the reggae beat. The vibes that we have is from the food that we eat and the music that make it sweet. Jamaica is grand, Jamaica is grand. We want the world to understand. There's so much love in this little island, cause we keep God in our master plan. Out of many we are one, is the motto of inclusion. Our people came from different nations, we gained freedom through revolution. No more slavery, thanks to some sharp and Annie. Them fight for we rights so we can be free. Continually, Jamaica is sweet. Came to feel the reggae beat. The vibes that we have is from the food that we eat and the music that make it sweet. Jamaica is grand, Jamaica is grand. We want the world to understand. There's so much love in this little island, cause we keep God in our master plan. Jamaica is sweet. Can't you feel the reggae beat? Jamaica is grand. I know you understand. The black, green and gold continues to shine throughout the world. We shock them with intelligence displayed by our boys and girls. Let's tell everyone, our people must understand. We must plant what we eat and eat what we grow, and let the good vibe flow. Jamaica is sweet, Jamaica is sweet. Can't you feel the reggae beat? The vibes that we have is from the food that we eat and the music that make it sweet. Jamaica is grand, Jamaica is grand. We want the world to to understand. There's so much love in this little island, cause we keep God in our master plan. Jamaica is free, Jamaica is free, came to see the reggae beat. The vibes that we have is from the food that we eat, and the music just make it sweet. Jamaica is grand, Jamaica is grand. We want the world to understand. There's so much love in this little island, cause we keep God in our master plan.
It's just me and you and me, sitting up under the mango tree. Go ahead and let them talk their talk, 'cause baby they can't walk our walk. You and me, we're inseparable.
Real talk that, man.
I'm in love with you and I'm here to stay. And nobody can change my mind, so nobody worry, baby.
There's some big value songs, them songs there.
Baby, you should down what I'm talking about.
This is the sound of Levy.
My love will be there to see.
Track called You and Me.
We will be together through any kind of weather. You and me and you, baby, baby, baby. Love you like no other. That is what I'm sure of. You and me and you, baby, baby, baby. So take me by the hand and lead me like only you can. I know how to play my role. Yes, a man must be a man. I'm in love with you all the way. And nobody can change my mind. So don't worry, baby, we're fine. If ever you should doubt what I'm talking about, my love will be there to see you. We will be together through any kind of weather. You and me and you, baby, baby, baby. Love you like no other. That is what I'm sure of. You and me and you, baby, baby, baby. It's just me and you and me, sitting up under the mango tree. And if ever you should doubt what I'm talking about, my love will be there to see you through. Through any kind of weather, any kind of weather, me and you, baby, baby, baby. It's the way you love me, baby, Maybe you don't know me any more than I know you, and I wouldn't blame you if you walked away. I've been watching you all evening with the teardrops in your eyes.
This is Joanna Miller, and it's all about DJ Kevin Stew on the night shift. You feel some
You know I hate to
check
think
out
that
that
someone could have hurt someone like you, and if I was hurt,
This is music from Miss Joanna Marie.
your side. Oh,
Inviting you.
lay your troubles on my shoulder,
And what?
put your worries in my pocket.
And what?
Rest your love on me a while.
Yeah, I can do that in a Joe.
Lay your troubles on my shoulders, put your worries in my pocket. Rest your love on me a while. Saw you in the corner on the moment I walked in. Saw your lonely face across the room. No, I won't forget it, and the way it might have been. Why did you have to leave so soon? You know I hate to think that loved you more than me. And at times like this, I've been right by your side.
That's a good idea, Merle.
Lay your troubles on my...
I want everybody to request the 3 songs, the 3 festival songs, or the 3 festival song entries that were denied. They were rejected.
On my shoulders, put your worries in.
The third being the Greaves Brothers.
Rest your love.
Jamaica, Jamaica.
How long must I wait for the last train to be here and the last chance to know? Get to think that I was born too soon. How long, honey, when the loving don't come? I was there when you left me, just didn't know how to begin. Oh, lay your troubles on my shoulders, put your worries in my pocket. Rest your love on me, lay your troubles on my shoulders, put your worries in my pocket. Rest your love.
As a real icon, someone asks you, have you ever been inside on a rainy, rainy night, holding your lady tight like I have? Hi, this is Ed Robinson. Have you ever had no matter what you're doing right now, stop it. Because guess what? Kevin Stu is at the control. Tune in, sing.
Have you ever been to bed with music in your head, forgetting your daily bread? I tell your friend it's true, it's a pretty thing to go through, just between me and you.
Cause right now the rain,
Abigail, what with you?
Lord, it's coming down on my rooftop, coming down.
Lyris,
me and my lady,
where you been all night?
doing alright. I hope it never stops, no.
And the rain is coming down, coming on down on my rooftop. Me and my baby holding tight, doing alright. Hope it never stops.
Baby, you see what's going on?
Hold on to Ernie, hold on to my dear.
I think you left the car windows down.
And it's a rain, puss and dogs out there now.
Ooh, I love when it rains.
You know what? Make it wet up here, baby.
Okay.
I tell your friend it's true, it's a pretty thing to go through, just between me and you. Oh,
Ernest Smith, Ed Robinson. As we anticipate some more rain.
Me and my lady locked in tight, doing alright. I hope it never stops.
For those of you in Jamaica, the celebration of life at Randy Williams Entertainment Center in Kingston, Jamaica happens this coming Friday. Celebrating the life of the legendary Ernest Smith.
doing alright. I hope it never stops.
You don't want to miss it. As we part company, do remember to look out for members of your community. Your community is not just the development that you live in, but it spreads far and wide. So those that you pass on the bus, the plane, the boat, the train, whether you walk, ride or drive, these are members of your community. Do something good for one of them today, because you never know who's going to do something good for you tomorrow. My name is Kevin Stewart, so I like to do it to you, for you, and with you. Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, 10 p.m. Eastern. Right here, kevinstewart.com and affiliates. Thank you to the affiliates. Much love to you. Truly appreciate the support.
Doing alright. I hope it never stops.
Good morning, good afternoon, good day to you from wherever you are in the world. From right here in South Florida.
I hope it never stops.
I bid you all a good night.
I know the rain is coming down.
Be good. If you can't be good at it. Take care until we see each other again. Do remember, this Saturday, Reason with the Rebel Rattigan comes back 3 p.m. Eastern. Reggae Global Radio and YouTube. You don't want to miss it.
Down on my rooftop, coming down.
I'm out of here.
Me and my lady locked in tight, doing alright. I hope it never stops. No.
Greetings and salutations, one and all. You're invited to tune in to the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew. It airs on Mondays with Community and Finance, Tuesdays with Healthy Love, and Wednesdays with Real Talk from 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern Time. Come spend some time interacting in the stew pot where we keep things bubbling and wind down in musical therapy. The Night Shift with DJ Kevin Stew is on kevinstew.com, where you're encouraged to have acceptance through enlightenment.